I'm here to tell a story about my life and how I started off. I think it was about 6 months ago. I was awarded with a prize from the Norwegian Confederation of Sports. What's it called? Confederation of Sports. It's a collection of all the sports organizations here in Norway. In Norwegian, it's called Norges Idrettsforbund. And they awarded me with an award that said Young Leader of the Year from Oslo and Viken. That's two big regions, the two biggest regions, to be honest, from our area here. And I want to tell you the story about how I ended up here, because how I started, it was not obvious that I was going to end up anywhere at all. So I always like to start with this picture, because it's a representation of where I came from and how I was, where I was born. My parents were nomads, and some of you think like, does nomads still exist? Yes. My mother and father, they were camel herders, come from a long generation of camel herders. So they basically follow the camels around, where there's enough to eat from the trees and where there's enough shade, and you constantly just keep walking around. So I come from a small place in between Ethiopia and Somalia. It's a very war-torn place, a lot of warlords who sit on a lot of weapons and guns and power, and they control the environment. So my mother and father, they always wanted something better for me, and I was, I think, number 5 in the line. And so I was the first boy. That was the only thing that was special about me. So my uncle, he came to Norway in 1997, and then he called home to the rest of the family and said, hey, I made it to Norway, and I want to give 2 kids the possibilities to come here. And I was chosen, yeah, just because I was a boy again. And my sister, that was closest to me, was chosen as well. So we came here to Norway in 1999 on false premises that we were his kids. He said, yeah, these are my kids, and we have something called family reunion, where you can apply to get your kids and wife to your country where you live. So my uncle, he applied and he got us here. And you can see here, it's in a small place called, it's not a small place actually, it's a big city, but not the biggest, called Lillehammer. And Lillehammer is most known for having the Olympics back in 1994. And you can see here I was kind of like the new exotic thing happening in Lillehammer at that time. And I never thought they'd seen anyone like me, but I came here with my sister and uncle in Lillehammer. And my uncle, he turned out to be not such a nice guy. He was angry, he was violent, he was gone all the time. And in Norway here we have a system called the child services. I guess you have it in other countries as well. But there's a system where the schools can report to the child service if something's wrong, if they suspect something. The way you can go around this system is if you move. Because the child services in one area don't talk to in the other area. So as soon as the child service contacts you and says, hey, we need to have a talk, because the school sent a worrying message about your kids, and we need to sit down and talk, what's this about? Every time my uncle used to get that one, he moved to a new place. So every year I used to move. So I became really good at saying hi to people and hey, my name is Abdinor and I like to play football. I became really good at that, but really bad at having deep connections and having friends for a period of time. This went on for from I was 5 till I was 10 years old. You can see here I was kind of a cool kid even if things were rough. So when I was like 10 or 11, my sister, she said, she was just 1 year older than me, so I was 10 and she was 11. She said, Abdinor, this is not working, because we're just going to keep moving. So we moved around the whole country, and things are not going to change for us. And she picked up the phone and she said, we need to call the cops, police. So she called the police like 10 times, I think. And the guy at the phone in the end, he was so angry. He was fuming. He was like, why do you keep calling? You're calling the wrong line. And we were just begging him on the phone, like, please, you need to listen to our story. We were trying to tell you something here. And in the end, he was like, okay, I guess there's something here. What do you want from me? What can I do for you? And we told him where we lived, in a small area called Skullerud, here in Oslo. And then we told him we need to get in contact with child services. It was before this generation of smartphones and Google everything. So we didn't have any phone numbers. So we called the child services and told them our story, and they couldn't believe it. They were like, so your uncle is gone? Because my uncle, he had been gone for like 2 weeks then. And my sister, that's 1 year older than me, she's in charge of everything. In charge of feeding us, going to school, washing our clothes, washing the house. Imagine being 11 years old and you're responsible for all this. Yeah. And so two women, I remember, they came in a green car, pulled up right outside of the block and said, hey, yeah, let's go inside and see what you guys are talking about. So she stayed with us in the apartment for a couple of hours. And then she was like, yeah, I guess I have to believe you guys. Let's go. Let's jump in the car and let's leave. We left the place. And my uncle didn't come back for like 2 weeks. When he came back, it was kind of too late for him. And we kind of blew the cover as well. We told the truth about him not being our father and that we're here in Norway on false premises. And that brought some consequences for me and for him as well. One of the consequences it brought for me was that I lost my citizenship in Norway. Suddenly I was not Norwegian anymore because I had this citizenship on wrong premises. But they put me in an orphanage. And basically it was the best time of my life, to be honest. And you can see here from my last picture, I gained some weight, a lot of weight. I have some chubby cheeks here. It was the first time I got to experience living a normal life. And all these things that I've only heard about on TV, like pizza and lasagna, this is things that I've only seen from cartoons. I finally got to eat them. So I kept eating, developed an eating disorder. But yeah, I managed to work through it in the end. And this is the first time I also got to experience activities, organized activities. Otherwise, I was just running outside. And yeah, breaking windows and doing what I was not supposed to do. But here I got to test ice skates, I got to test skiing, I got to test playing in a football team. First time I had a birthday, you can see here. So for me it was like a dream came through. And I didn't want to go back to wherever I came from. But the orphanage it's not a place you're supposed to live for a long time. Because they want you to have a normal life as possible, so they want to give you a foster family in the end. So one day there was 2 Somali people who came to the orphanage and was like, hey Abdinor, yeah, we talked a lot and I think we're going to be your new foster family if you want us to. And I was terrified of Somalis. I was like, no, I ain't going back there. Because I've just experienced all this new stuff. That I thought only white people did. And I always thought that Somalis, they lived horribly. But they took some time and then they convinced me. One of those ways he convinced me, my foster father, was actually by taking a backflip. And when I saw how far, like a 45-year-old guy doing a backflip, I was like really impressed. I was like, okay, you're willing to go this far just for me to be happy and smile. It means that you're really genuine. So, okay, I'll trust you. I'll go with you. And I moved to a small place called Vestby. So you can see me here with the freckles and with the braces. This is the first time I actually managed to do proper school. Because I was lagging behind on the school. It's not to put on a chair. Football, turned out I was really good at football. And I was only played for like 2-3 years. The other guys that I was competing with had been playing their whole life. And friends. I suddenly got some friends that I could have over a longer time period. And the last thing I wrote here is future. I never had the possibility to dream or to think more than just a couple of days ahead, maybe a couple of weeks ahead. But when I moved here out to Vestby, I had the possibility to plan what I was going to do the next year. Hey Abdi, we're going to go on a vacation next year. It was just mind-blowing for me. Like, next year? Okay, that's so far out. How can we plan stuff that happens so far out? And they were like, no, because this is stable, this is home, we're here, and nothing's going to change. And I was, aside from the orphanage, this was like the second best time of my life. But that also came to an end. My foster parents, they were Somalis, and they were kind of done with the life here in Norway. They wanted to move. So they moved back to Nairobi. And when I tell the story, I like to think that I actually had a choice to come with them to Nairobi. But in truth, I actually didn't have much choice about going to Nairobi. So they divided me and my sister when we moved from the orphanage, because it's easier to find a foster home for one kid at a time than two kids at a time. So my sister, she got a different foster home, and this is her foster mom, Gunhild. This is my sister. So I called my sister and I was crying. I was like, hey sister, they're leaving me. I'm all alone here. And my sister said like, yeah, 2 seconds. I'm gonna ask my foster mom if you can move here. And my new foster mom, she was like, yeah, Abdinor, he's a great guy. Of course, his foster family are moving. Okay, he can move in here. At that time, I was like 16 years old. And so at 16, you're kind of like adult enough, especially if you've been through what I've been through. But she also moved around for a bit. So I moved out from Gunhild when I was like 18 and a half. That's the second year of videregående. Moved out on my own. And guess where I moved back to? It was that one place that I lived with my foster family for 5 years. A small place called Vestby. I went back there to start the last year of videregående, last year of high school. And you can see how many times that I moved here. It's like 12, 13 times, 14 times. And you can see how many different schools I went to. And every time anyone asks me about family, I keep saying like, yeah, I have like a minimum of 4 mothers. And I have at least 3 fathers. And people are like, huh? What are you talking about? But I always tell them it's a long story. You have to, you have to have time, and I'll tell you all about it. So with these challenges, I didn't have a lot of prerequisites to do good, actually. But I met this is kind of like my 4th mother here. I met this woman when I was like 10 years old. Her name is Molly. And she was there because you get divided between the foster family and the child care service. You get a little bit divided between them because the foster family keeps saying like, yeah, you have to say everything goes well here. I'm like, yeah, but everything does go well here. And the child services keep asking you like, does everything go well here? So you get like torn a little bit between them. So you get a 3rd person who usually works in the child services at some point or in adoption. Molly used to work in adoption. So she was supposed to visit me once a month and just hang with me and talk to me. I met her when I was 10, and I didn't actually know that I needed her until I was like 19. Because after I finished the last year of high school, I went back to Ethiopia to visit my family. And I was kind of hoping it was going to give me a sense of meaning, maybe back to the roots, I don't know, mom and dad. I don't know what I was expecting. But when I got there, it was anything else but what I was expecting. I came home back from Ethiopia 3 months later, and I was completely broken. I was like, had no sense of meaning in life. I was like, what is family? Who is this? What is that? Go study. I ain't gonna do shit. I was a little bit angry because I had a lot of expectations to my parents, but they grew up as nomads. They had different expectations for me. They were expecting me to build houses, to stay there and herd the camels and marry a woman there. And I was like, no. I just finished videregående, maybe I'll go work. But there's like 50 years between your plans and my plans. I ain't staying here. and they were really disappointed with me. The whole like kind of the community there was like, oh, you were gone for so long and you come back like this. What is this? So I came back home, totally broken, didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. And then I called Molly. And Molly was like, hey Abdinor, I think you should come here to her house. She has a house in Oslo where she lives with her family. I went there, she gave me a key and she said, you can just live here and we'll sort everything out later. I didn't have to explain anything, didn't have to tell her about what happened or anything. She was like, yeah, I can see what you've been through and I know where you've been. So you just stay here and we'll sort everything out. So after living with Molly for like 5 months, I think, me and her son, because I became really good friends with her sons, we decided to move to Oslo to finally study. I finally got my confidence back and sense of meaning back. So we moved to Oslo to start studying. So I started studying UX design at the University of Oslo, and he started as a teacher, lector. Yeah. So while I was doing this, I got this message from my foster mom that moved to Nairobi, and she sends me this link from Tøyen Akademiet and Tøyen Sports Club. And Tøyen Sports Club was a sports club that just opened in our area, in the area that I was living in Oslo. And they were looking for youths for the leader program, volunteer and leader program. And you can see how I replied here for those of you who know Norwegian. Here I'm saying, should I put up for this, like volunteer work? And it's a way of laughing in Somali writing. So here I'm laughing, and then I wrote, yeah, okay, I'll just apply. Maybe I'll get it into you. And that's actually my way into Tøyen Sports Club. So Tøyen Sports Club started in 2015, like a year after I moved into Oslo. And it was a protest that took a little bit off. And Tøyen is an area, a troubled area here in Oslo, not too far from here. And what are Tøyen Sports Club protesting against? A lot of these things that I experienced. A lot of people was moving, for example, every year due to poor housing policy. 65% of children grow up in persistent low-income houses. And most importantly, maybe all this municipal housing, what do you call it? Public housing, maybe is a better word. 15% of all public housing was at Tøyen, around this school. And the school was broken, and the system was broken, and there was not after-school activities for kids to participate in. So Tøyen Sports Club, it was just consisted of some parents, some who worked at the school, and yeah, a couple of others. And they just came together and then they said, hey, we're just going to make whatever we need. We don't care about the sports federation, and we don't care about this other sports club, because there was some other sports club in the area, but they cost immensely much, yeah. For a 5-year-old to play football a year, it costs 5,000 kroners. And that's around 500 euros. Imagine paying 500 euros just for one kid to play football for 1 year. And you get no equipment, you don't get any shirts, you don't get anything for those 500 euros. So we started off this sports club, and the goal was to build a community, create a sense of belonging, fight the dropouts in high school. Because the youths at high school in our area had a 50% dropout. That's very high. And we wanted to fight for a multi-purpose hall, a place where we could build our community. And this was so perfect in line with me and what I've experienced. And I felt kind of like Tøyen represented my life, because it was full of people from different cultures. And Norwegians, Somalis, a lot of Somalis at Tøyen, and Arabs and Albanians. We all were just living in the same area, and we had the same struggles, we had the same challenges, and now we had the possibility to do something about it. And it was 2 barriers that we set out to battle. First is the geography, because if there's no activities around you, if there's no hall or no places to play football or no places to climb, you don't do this kind of stuff. There's no place to swim near you. You don't go swimming. So we wanted to make this multi-purpose hall where kids could come and try all types of activities, where we could build a community, where we can make a sense of belonging. And the other one was economy. As I was saying, some places cost like 500 euros. So we set the bar at 10 euros. And the 10 euros was not a must. Some people don't even pay the 10 euros, and we just look through the fingers with it. I don't ask them for membership, but they know they have to pay 10 euros to participate. So we just started off with activities wherever we could in the beginning, because we didn't have this hall yet. So we started to play chess, just outside on the sidewalk, close to the library. We started to play football on the pitch. The funny thing is we bought a couple of goals and we just linked them together at the park at Tøyen. And we got some trouble by the municipality for that, but we were just screaming. We were saying, hey, we need something and you're not willing to give it to us. So we're just going to create what we need ourselves. We had some yoga in the park. And then we went on trips around in the forest and in the other areas. We used to also use the classrooms at Tøyen Skole, where we just put the chairs and the tables to the corners. And we used to play dodgeball, or we used to do capoeira, or we used to do dancing and different type of activities. We just used the places that we had. So it took about 4 years, 2019 I think, September. In Oslo here it takes about 20 years to get to get a hall. But we got it in 4 years, and it's different reasons for that. One of the reasons is that our members, we were only planning to have around 50-60 members, but within 6 months we had 800 members. So it just showcases that we kind of hit a nerve, like we saw a need in the community, and we just hit it perfectly. A year later, we had 1,500 members, and we've been stable at 1,500 members ever since. So this multi-purpose hall, you come in there and you just do activities, and we try to set the bar as low as possible, so you can even, almost like a bowling alley, you can just borrow shoes there if you want, come in there in your jeans, and you just play. And you don't have to put yourself up on a list or participate every time. You just participate on your terms. If you want to come today, come today. If you want to come tomorrow, come tomorrow. But we had a big problem, like 1,500 members, that's quite a lot. Who's gonna do activities for them? And that brings me back to the youth program that I participated in. I was very lucky to go into the first year. This program is like a one-year program where you meet once a month. It's for the youth around Tøyen, because it was not just the kids that was missing opportunities, but the youths as well. They were just walking around in their blocks, and as we spoke about, a lot of families were living in small apartments, so you couldn't really be home. And as soon as you get old enough to be outside, you were just hanging outside. So youth between 15 and 25 were given the possibility to go to this course. You meet once a month through a whole year, and you get different type of courses. It can be like first aid, conflict management, event planning, how to be a young leader, how to lead activities, and then they are guaranteed jobs at the hall that we saw for minimum 2 hours each week. So most of the activities at Tøyen Sports Club is run by youths from this Tøyen Academy. So right now we're recruiting to our 9th year. It means that it's been 8 successful years since I went there. It's like 160 youth who went through this program, leader program, and around 50 of them work inside of this hall. We call this hall Tøyen Arena. They named it something else actually. They named it Tøyen Temporary Hall, but we were like, no, that's not fitting. So we called it Tøyen Arena, just to name it ourselves. So it's kind of like what you guys are doing here. You sit in circles and do activities. And then we went on some trips and tours, and we built a community, because that was like the essence of things. So suddenly there's a picture of I had to Google this. It's called acorn. Acorn? Yeah, okay. Acorn, yeah. And this is an oak tree. So why I brought this up is because this is how I see a lot of the youth at Tøyen Sports Club, as this acorn. It feels weird saying it, acorn. Because the only difference between this acorn and this oak tree is actually just place. Yes, it got the possibility to build roots, got the possibility to be nurtured, to be shaded, have enough water, have enough sun, and protected. That's the only thing that's the difference between these two. So when I walk around at Tøyen, when we have this Tøyen Akademiet, I think about that a lot, about how to give these youths a place where they can grow, a place where they can be nurtured, where they can be shaded, where they can learn and grow. And I keep telling them that the only difference, or the biggest difference between them and this acorn is that you have legs. This acorn doesn't have legs. It can't move around and look for the perfect spot and just, oh, this is the perfect place. But the kids, the youths, they have legs. They can walk around. They can change the environment that they participate in. They can change where they are going to find their space, to find their home. Like I found my home. I found a place at Tøyen where I can grow some roots, where I could be nurtured, where I could learn. And that's what made me who I am today.